What did I miss? Brian here, and it's very sunny, as you could tell by the sunlight coming in, and we have another firearm review. Today, we are going to be giving an overview on the Glock 19X. Before we get into it, we always want to make sure that the gun is unloaded, mag is unloaded, so is the chamber. This is the Glock 19X, and it looks like your standard 19X, but it is a teensy bit modded. I'll go over the mods as well as the characteristics of this in a bit, but for now, let's go over everything that the 19X comes with, and that is the hard case, 3 mags, a plastic cleaning rod, a brush, a lock, a speed loader, and the owner's manual. And I highly recommend that you read the owner's manual when you first get a firearm. Now, there is one thing missing, and that is the grip back straps. And if I'm not mistaken, I think there's 4 of them. But the owner didn't include it with this gun, but hey, it's fine. Now I'm gonna go ahead and move everything off to the side. Going into the Glock 19X, like I said, this one is slightly modded. There's a teensy bit of mods done to it, not very many and not very major. And what the owner has done is he's changed the backplate to a Texas flag backplate. He's also added a ghost connector, and I believe it's a 3-pound connector because it's a very light trigger pull. And he's changed the base plate of one of the mags to a Strike Industries base plate. That way, when he has it loaded and he lets the Glock sit, it can sit vertically. This firearm belongs to a friend of mine named Isaiah, also known as Z. So Z, if you're watching this video, thank you very much for letting me borrow your 19X for this overview. Your contribution is greatly appreciated. So what's the big deal about the Glock 19X? Glock submitted this to the US military and was competing against Sig with their P320. As you may know, or as you may not know, Glock almost made it, but Sig beat them with their P320. This one is the M18. Another thing about the 19X is it was kind of introducing the Gen 5 model line, and what I mean is it has the front tapered end. As you can see, it's round and not sharp. It has the ambidextrous slide lock. As you can see, it's on the left side as well as the right side. The mag release can be flipped to the right side for left-handed users. Another thing the Glock 19X shares is the flat grip, and that's what the Gen 5 Glocks have to this day. The Gen 3 and Gen 4 Glocks had the finger grooves, and then when the 19X came out, Glock flattened that grip completely. But the 19X technically is not considered a Gen 5, it's considered its own thing. If you look at the grip, you'll see that the front is slightly extended, and the Gen 5 Glock mags will not work only because of the base plate hitting against that part of the grip. If you change the base plate to either an extension or if you use like the Gen 3 Glock mags, it will work just fine. Looking down the sights, you'll notice that the 19X has night sights, and that's what it comes with out of the box. Another thing about this 19X that sets it apart from all the other Glocks, except for one, is it has the compact size slide, but it has a full-size grip like the Glock 17, and you can see it obviously. Some people have some mixed opinions about it. For me, I kind of like it. It's pretty unique. From the factory, it comes with the dual spring guide rod, which is what the Gen 4 models had and what the Gen 5s have to this day, as well as the marksman barrel, which is also what the Gen 5s have to this day. Now, it's called a marksman barrel because the rifling is different compared to the Gen 3s and the Gen 4 Glocks. Not saying it's going to make you a marksman instantly, that's just what Glock calls this barrel. And on top of that, the rifling on the 19X is slightly different compared to the normal Gen 5 Glock barrels, and supposedly it's a little bit more accurate, though I shot both side by side and it honestly feels the same, so it doesn't feel anything different. Another thing I noticed is that the mag release is slightly extended. With my Gen 5 model, it was flush with the grip as well as with most other Gen 5 Glocks. With this one, as you can see, it's sticking out just a little bit so that it's easier to press it and release the mag. Other than that, that's pretty much it with this Glock 19X. I won't lie, the Glock 19X is aesthetically pleasing. I like the tan color, and it's something nice to see once in a while when you're so used to seeing normal Glocks, mine included. The grip feels very nice because it's the full-size grip, and I like the fact that it comes with the night sights, whereas with most Glocks, it comes with that U shape in the back, and the only way you could get night sights is you have them changed out. So why did the Glock 19X lose to the Sig P320? Hey, sit still. I have both side by side. Why did the Glock 19X lose to the Sig P320? Well, there are 3 reasons I can think of, but I'm sure there are way many more out there. 1, the Glock 19X does not have a traditional safety, whereas the Sig P320 does. So you can see, that's the safety. I can pull the trigger right now, and if I flip the safety up, I can't pull the trigger. Flip it back down, I can pull the trigger again. For the Glock 19, it doesn't have that, but it does have 3 types of safeties. 1, you have to press the middle trigger in order to pull the bigger trigger, and there are 2 internal safeties. So when you drop this gun, it doesn't accidentally discharge. Second, the 19X does not have an RMR mount, whereas the Sig P320 does. As you can see, there's that metal plate that you can remove and add an RMR. And third reason, disassembling the Sig P320 and cleaning it is way easier than the Glock 19X, which I'm a little jealous about. There's literally a brace inside that holds the entire mechanism, and Sig made it this way to where you could easily change the grips if you want to customize it or just clean it in general. Whereas with the Glock 19X, you got a little more smaller moving parts to deal with. And so those are the 3 reasons I can think of. Like I said, I'm sure there are way more out there, but I'm gonna put this Sig off to the side. Now that we've covered all the characteristics as well as, why Sig won the contract with the US military, let's go ahead and compare this 19X to my Gen 5 Glock 19. And just to make sure, there's no mag and the chamber is empty. Putting them both side by side, you can see they are almost identical. Obviously the slides are the exact same size, and for obvious reasons, Gen 5 19 is black, whereas with the 19X it's tan. The Gen 5 19 has front serrations, while the 19X doesn't. And the grip is a little bit shorter than the 19X by about ½ an inch. And you could see that in the back view as well. Other than that, you could see it's basically the same firearm. It's just different colors, a little bit more features, and a slightly longer grip. Looking at the front, they share the same exact dual spring guide rod, and well, I have a different barrel on mine, but they both share the same barrel. So enough about all of that. Let's get into the shooting overview. Upon test firing the Glock 19X, I will admit I did horrible, actually beyond horrible. My shots were going to the bottom left of the center target. They were going 7 o'clock, and I was just pulling to the left. And it may have to do with the fact that I had to readjust back to the stock Glock trigger, which I really hate. It feels really uncomfortable, at least to me, when I pull the trigger. And I don't know if anybody noticed, but I added a flat trigger on my Gen 5, which feels way more comfortable whenever I pull the trigger. With this one, I really hate it. Though I will say the ghost connector kind of helped a bit. It kind of makes up for it because it made pulling the trigger a bit easier, because from the factory, the trigger pulls on these Glocks are pretty stiff. Recoil was manageable. I wasn't having any issues with that. And most importantly, I didn't have any jams whatsoever, which tells me this thing is reliable, just like all the other Glocks. And just for shits and giggles, I swapped slides off of my Gen 5 19 to see how it looked and if it functioned properly. The 19X with the black slide functions with no issue, and vice versa. And may I just say, the 19X slide on my Gen 5 19 frame looks pretty freaking hot. And so that is it for this video. This concludes the overview of the Glock 19X, its characteristics, and the comparison between it and 2 other firearms. If you're subscribed, thanks. If you're not, thanks for taking the time to watch this video. Take care, everyone. I will catch you on the flip side.